All right, thank you so much. Welcome to another episode of the award-winning Sales Game Changers podcast. My name is Fred Diamond. I'm the founder of the Institute for Effective Professional Selling. Murtaza, we used to be known as the Institute for Excellence in Sales. Of course, we rebranded on May 1st, and we like to say that we help B2B or B2G sales organizations engage teams, elevate leaders, empower success. You can find our new website, www.theiepS.com. And we're thrilled to have you here. I want to remind people, too, that we transcribe every Sales Game Changers podcast episode that we do. You can find all of our 750 previous episodes, not just the audio, but the transcriptions as well, at salesgamechangerspodcast.com, salesgamechangerspodcast.com. And today, search for Murtaza Ahmed with SAIC. Murtaza, it's great to have you here. As many people who listen to the show know, every year the Institute for Effective Professional Selling has a big award event. And in 2021, we gave your current CEO, Tony Towns-Whitley, who was at the time at Microsoft leading their public sector. She was our lifetime award recipient. And it's great to have you. I'm excited to talk to you. Give us a little bit of give us an insight onto you. Tell us what you do at
Yeah.
SAIC. Then, tell us about your career, what led you to SAIC. I know you spent some quality time at AWS. AWS is a big member, big partner of the Institute for Effective Professional Selling. We've had about a dozen leaders all the way up through David Levy on the Sales Game Changers podcast. So tell us about you. Tell us what you do at SAIC and how'd you eventually get there?
Sure. Thank you so much, Fred, for having me. I've heard a lot about the podcast, so really honored to be here today. So Murtaza Ahmed, I'm with SCIC. I've been with SCIC 2 years now, and I currently lead our growth for the civilian business group. So within SCIC, we have 5 business groups. Essentially, I tell people is so everything non-DoD is what falls within the civilian space. So my goal, my role is to lead our growth and strategy for our civilian business group.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your career. I mean, how did you get to
Sure.
SAIC?
Sure. So, as far as my career is concerned, it actually started right out of college with Lockheed Martin. Kind of a classic path into the federal contracting world. It was a great place to learn the fundamentals, big missions, complex systems, and really high expectations. Over time, I found myself gravitating more towards growth roles. I was participating in proposals. I was participating in pricing strategy. So I started leaning towards more and more towards growth, business development strategy, and figured out how to build winning teams, winning work, and really shape where a company is headed. And during this time, I was working with SAIC, competing with SAIC, and really worked with SAIC in a couple of different manners prior to joining SAIC. When I was at AWS, I partnered with them on a few efforts. I remember being very impressed. They showed up prepared, thoughtful, really focused on the mission, and it stood out. And around the same time, a former colleague of mine, someone I trust, had just joined SAIC and kept telling me how different the culture was. It was collaborative, value-driven, and not just talk. You could feel it in how the people were really working together. So when the opportunity came to lead the civilian business group's growth side, it felt like the right move for me. I knew the kind of work they were doing. I knew the impact they wanted to have. And I felt like I could help accelerate that. For me, it's always been about being close to the mission and helping teams compete and win in a way that's smart, strategic, and sustainable. One of the things that I remember most clearly from that AWS and SAIC partnership was a session where we were trying to align a very technical cloud solution to a real world problem at a health agency. And the SAIC team didn't talk tech first, they talked mission. that struck with me, and it's a mentality I've carried with me ever since.
Yeah, that's great. We've interviewed many people from the public sector markets on the Sales Game Changers podcast, and it always comes down to mission, right?
Yeah.
And government agencies, public sector, state, local, federal, education, they always are about the mission, right? It's not profit. It's about serving the citizen, serving the customer, serving whomever they're serving to achieve things to make life and the world better for citizens, not just in the United States, but all across the world. You mentioned the word partnership.
Yeah.
What does an ideal partnership look like to you? What type of companies do you partner with? You mentioned when you were at AWS, you were partnered with SAIC.
Hmm.
Now
Hmm.
you're at SAIC. What types of companies do you like to partner with?
Sure. That's a great question, Fred. For me, the ideal partnership starts with a mindset. Uh, our leader, our business group leader, Srini Tilly, talks about, don't fall in love with your own capabilities, but fall in love with the customer's problem. Everything we do at SAIC starts with the understanding of the mission. What is the customer really trying to solve? What's standing in the way? Once we are clear on that, our job becomes bringing together the right combination of people, technology, and expertise to deliver the best outcome. And that's where the partnerships are coming in. We don't try to do everything ourselves. We intentionally work with companies that complement or improve what we are bringing to the table. And that includes everything from traditional system integrators, our competitors, OEMs, to cloud hyperscalers like AWS and Google, and emerging technology startups. And we also have an initiative called SAIC Ventures. We are taking it a step further in that we're actually investing in companies we believe can solve real world problems. We're not just writing a check, we are mentoring them, we are coaching them, introducing them to our clients, and helping shape their offerings so they are aligned to the actual mission. It's about building an ecosystem that connects all the cutting edge technology to real mission needs, and doing it in a way that's thoughtful, curated, and driven by outcomes. Um, to give you an example, one of our venture backed partners developed a lightweight AI tool to automate parts of a compliance process that used to take weeks. We helped them tailor the product for federal use, got it in front of the right clients, and now it's part of a broader solution we offer to our clients. That's what partnership looks like when it's done right.
There's a lot of value in the knowledge, right, that SAIC has, and having worked with customers for decades, understanding their mission, understanding their systems. I love that quote, falling in love with the customer's problem, and that's a great way not to focus on you, but to focus on why you're even in business. Just kind of curious, like what does SAIC look for from your
Mhm.
partners?
Sure. So, Fred, when we talk about partnerships, for me, it's a very much a two-way street. At SAIC, we're not just looking for vendors or subcontractors. GPS signal lost. So, we're not just looking for vendors or subcontractors. We are looking for true collaboration. What we value most in a partner is alignment around the mission. We want to work with companies who get the customer's challenge and are just as committed as we are. We look for partners who bring differentiated value, whether it's technical expertise, niche capabilities, customer intimacy, or an innovative product that fills a gap. But just as important as what a partner brings is how they show up. Are they responsive? Are they transparent? Can they operate with speed and agility? Do they collaborate well under pressure? One of our strongest partnership came out of a high stakes recompete. The partner didn't just bring tech, they brought perspective. And we also value partners who are very forward leaning, who are thinking about what's next. And lastly, I would say is culture matters. We look for partners who share our values, who are focused on the long term outcomes, not just short term wins. When you're building partnerships of that with that kind of foundation, you are not just winning work, you're also delivering impact. So it's not a black and white. Okay, what are we looking for a partner? It's a lot of things, but what it comes down to is that Can we work together? Are we working towards the same mission? It becomes very, very important for us.
Well, we're doing today's interview in May of 2025, and the federal government marketplace is going through some significant and major transformations right now. So, for people listening, I guess the title is business development. You guys are always focusing on developing new business. What is your advice for BD professionals, right? Business development professionals to be successful right now? Again, it's a really interesting time. There's a lot of challenges going on, not just in the world, but in our marketplace. What is your advice for the BD professionals out there?
Sure, Fred. The federal market is in the middle of some major shifts right now. We are seeing budget constraints, longer procurement cycles, evolving priorities, and more accountability around results and efficiency. It's not business as usual. And my advice, it really comes down to something actually our CEO, Tony Towns Whitley, says often: heads down, heads up, hearts open. Heads down, stay focused, know your accounts, stay close to your clients, and put in the real work. Heads up, be aware of the environment. The cycles we have been used to are being challenged, and you've got to understand the big picture. So policy, funding, market dynamics, and with hearts open, lead with empathy. Clients are under a lot of pressure. We are seeing all kinds of reductions going on everywhere. They don't need pitches right now. They need solutions. So we have to be that problem solver for them and not just a salesperson. And this is the time to think differently, be creative, help your clients look around the corner. I've seen some of the best ideas come from unexpected places, including junior team members who just saw a smarter way to do something. We all have to encourage that, and we have to share that, because I think now more than ever, we need new thinking to move these missions forward.
No, that's a great answer. And a lot of people listening to today's Sales Game Changers podcast, again, we're talking with Murtaza Ahmed at SAIC. The sales and the BD world have changed dramatically for a whole bunch of different reasons. But I love when you just said before about the hearts open and the empathy, because there's been unbelievable transformation with our customers, right? There's a tremendous amount of reductions in force. There's a lot of budgets being cut, and the customers are still mission driven. That's one thing that comes up all the time, and we know this again for people who serve the federal marketplace and
GPS signals.
and all the public sector markets out there. The customers are all driven by a mission, right? Like we said before, it's not growth, it's not profit, it's making the world a better place for citizens. Keep them safe, keep them healthy, allow them to move about, transport easily, eat better, higher quality food, drink, clearer, cleaner water. All those things are all mission driven, and the customers being challenged with being able to figure out ways. So I love when you just said that it's the mission of SAIC to understand that so that your solutions can be even more valuable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk last question here. Two more questions. Talk a little bit about the relationships with your customers. Again, like we just were alluding to, they're going through all this transformation, and they've had decades of relationships, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
With SAIC and companies similar to yours. What are they asking for? What do they expect from SAIC right now?
Sure. So, Fred, I think the relationship that we have with our clients is built on something really fundamental: trust. Many of the agencies, like you said, we work with have been SAIC customer for decades. They know we understand their mission, and they expect us to show up not just as a contractor, but as a trusted advisor as well. What they're expecting from us right now is honestly no different than what they've always expected: clarity, commitment, and results. What has changed slightly, not that it wasn't a requirement before, but it's the requirement now has changed slightly with the focus on efficiency, right? So they need that efficiency now, smarter ways to deliver more with less. And that's something that we are laser focused on. I was I was recently in a meeting with a client where we laid out a modernization roadmap, and instead of leading with tech, we led with outcomes. You know,
Mm.
what is that thing that matters to them? Here's how we'll help you reduce your backlog, increase your throughput, keep your mission secure, and that is what resonates with our customer clients. And because right now, you know, agencies need partners who will listen first, then act, and they trust us to bring forward that full solution, and we don't take that responsibility lightly at all.
Yeah. All right. Again, we talked today with Murtaza Ahmed with SAIC. Before I ask you for your final action step, again, we have a lot of sales professionals, business development professionals who listen to the Sales Game Changers podcast or read the transcripts. What skills do you suggest that they work on right now, so that they can grow their careers?
Sure. I mean, I do get that question a lot, and I think it's more important now than ever. The role of a business developer or a growth professional has evolved, like we just talked about. You know, we as BD professionals need to develop strategic thinking. We need to know the landscape. It's not just about that deal, it's about the budget, the policy, the timing. The best BD professionals aren't just chasing deals, they're shaping them. Second is communication. You know, learn to influence, learn to listen, learn to simplify complex value in a way that is resonating. Third, I would say, is understanding of technology. You don't need to be a you don't need to know how to code, but you need to understand what's possible, whether it's AI, cloud, zero trust. We have to know the basics so we can have meaningful conversations. And finally, I go back to empathy and resilience. That isn't easy work, but if you care about the mission and you commit to being a real partner, not just internally but with the clients, you will find success. I bring it down to three short phrases like be mission first, client forward, and team aligned. I think that's the mindset we all need to move forward.
I agree. That's great. Once again, I want to thank you, Murtaza, for all the insights and ideas that you brought to us. Give us a final action step for people listening to today's show, something specific that they should do right now to take their sales or BD career to the next level.
Sure. I would again, I would go back and mention about the mission first. I was like, you know, every proposal, every partnership, every strategy session, it all ties back to a mission that impacts real people. And in times like these, where the environment is uncertain and change is constant, that focus becomes even more important. I would say to the people earlier in their career or stepping into their growth roles for the first time, stay curious, stay humble, stay mission driven. The best opportunities come when you are listening more than you are speaking, and when you're focused more on solving than selling.
Those are great. And actually, the great sales professionals and BD professionals, it's not about them, it's about the customer. And I love that statement, fall in love with your customer's problem. All right. Once again, I want to thank Murtaza Ahmed for being on today's Sales Game Changers podcast. My name is Fred Diamond.